The blizzard of '78 is one of those events in Indiana history in which those who lived through it remember where they were during it. Just look at that. Back then, it was tough to pinpoint the arrival of such a beast when it came to the weather report. I spent some time talking with our in-house expert about the changes we've seen in forecasting then and now.
The forecast model.
RTV6 Chief Meteorologist Kevin Gregory remembers where he was when the blizzard of '78 slammed central Indiana.
I was in 8th grade and I remember being homesick. I remember tunneling out our front door and the sides of the snow being taller than me.
Around the national weather scene.
Back then, you couldn't watch storms move in on a radar on television like you can now. The warning window of the '70s wasn't as helpful to get you ready for the worst.
A Polaroid picture in the '70s versus an HD image today. It's that stark of a contrast. In the '70s, the weather maps were physical. You could touch them. You had an Indiana map, a Midwest map, a national map. You put magnetic cold fronts and weather symbols up there. You didn't see county maps the way you do today.
Kevin shows me how advances in meteorology and the high-tech tools forecasters use today helps tell a more complete story faster.
We'll continue to see refinement.
More frequent weather balloon launches, more weather reporting stations, and more views of Earth from outer space.
In the '70s, they were coarse, widespread. If you think of the atmosphere as a cake, it would only sample so many layers of that cake vertically and horizontally. Today, there are so many more slices and the level of detail greater that we're able to forecast more in advance and with greater specifics that are helpful to you, the viewer.
Even Kevin says forecasting has changed dramatically from the way we get information to you to the way that you share it with us. You're able to use our apps to watch the weather moving for yourself, and you're able to share with us real-time pictures of the conditions where you are.
To see with your app where the storm is, which way is it headed? Is it headed toward me or away from me? Information is available today on a scale that it wasn't in 1978.
That information and science, Kevin says, is helping predict the significance of a storm more in advance these days. But when it comes to the scale of the blizzard of '78, a simple yardstick is still not enough to convey the magnitude.
This is our snow stick. And the blizzard of '78 is still the measuring stick. I mean, it is still the storm that we compare everything to.
And you know, it was a very interesting conversation with Kevin that I had. I want to bring up something that you did mention, Kevin, and that was back then, the storm was local for everyone. People didn't know what was going on in other communities, but it impacted so many people.
Just to give you an example, Jennifer, one of our directors, was telling me she went to a friend's house after a practice for school, got stuck there for 3-4 days.
Wow.
Couldn't get back home.
Wow.
So everybody had their own solitary experience of the blizzard of '78, and then when we could emerge in 3 or 4 days, start talking to everybody else.
About what it was like in your community or your neighborhood, yeah.
All right, go ahead and reach in here and pull this out.
Look at that.
Careful, careful.
Okay, that's history.
It's 40 years old, so that is the climate report for the month of January. That's the most snow we've ever had in a month in Indiana, over 30 inches. We got 15.5 from the blizzard itself. Normally, we have to wear gloves when we touch
Look at that. Look at his address, too.
Yep, Robert W. McLean. And